and I am here with Danny Decker. Danny, thank you, my friend. I do appreciate it. We were talking before the break, and you used the word plan.
Blueprint.
Yeah, blueprint, strategy, and all of that stuff is so frustrating for us small business people, right? So let's dig into that a little bit, because I know I have sent you business people and family and friends to help with this, because you do make it easier for them. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's three questions that you need to answer when you're building out your marketing strategy. It's number one, who is your target market? And you need to get crystal clear on who your buyers are. And we could spend 5 hours talking about that. But number one, you have to get crystal clear on who your customers are, right? That's your market. Number two is messaging, right? What are you going to tell those people in order to get them to schedule a consultation or come to your restaurant or come to your store, whatever the case may be, right? Market, message, and then third is media. And media is just what channel are you going to use to communicate that message? Right? So the channel could be Facebook, it could be the radio, it could be direct mail, it could be networking. Like there's no shortage of channels, right?
Right.
And there's a new one every single day. TikTok, and like there's new ones every single day. But here's the problem. Most small business owners, they just jump to that third part of the conversation. And most marketing vendors, unfortunately, just jump to the third part of that conversation, which is, well, let's talk about TikTok, or let's talk about Facebook, or let's talk about the radio, or whatever the case may be. But they do it without having had the first part of the conversation, which is let's get clear on who our market is and let's get clear on what our messaging is. And so when you insist, which is what I do and what we do in the book, that you start with a detailed conversation about who your target audience is, what motivates them, what problems are they facing, what do they want, what outcome are they looking for in their lives, right? Until you have that conversation, you can't figure out what's the right messaging.
And Danny, what I find interesting is this is real simple. Know who, know the messaging, and know the media. And Danny, I'm going to tell you something. I bet you 85, I could even guess 90% of my clients don't know the who, the messaging, or the media, but think they do. Do you find that to be the case? Because you could spend months asking any one of these three questions individually. Yeah. And that really does seem to be the question. Most of my clients don't know who their customer is because they'll tell me, anybody can use this particular soap. It's wonderful.
Anybody with money. Anybody with money.
Right. And so how do you deal with that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, Joe. 95.
Reese, if you've noticed, he said, exactly.
Yep.
95% of the business owners I talk to either don't know or think they know, but they don't know, right? And it takes a deep conversation. And so, one of the things, if I'm working one-on-one with somebody, we'll spend 4 hours just going deep into who are their customers and what is the psychology that drives their customers. And that's really the secret sauce of it. You have to get into knowing your customers really well at a deep level.
And Danny, is it just me? But sometimes, or most of the time, they can't see the forest through the trees. It's like you would think they would know who their customers are, but for some reason they don't.
Yeah, well, and that's the challenge with any business, right? Is we're operating in our business day in, day out. Like it's so familiar to us that we just start to forget that the rest, our customers, people who aren't in our world every day, they don't understand this stuff,
To me, it seems to be like the squeaky wheel. Whoever is screaming the loudest to the owner, that's who the owner thinks is their customer.
Right, and usually,
that's not true.
And usually it's exactly right. And that's usually the opposite, right? Because it's those squeaky customers that are actually the worst customers, and those are the people you need to design your marketing to keep them out, right? Because but honestly, marketing is 50% who you let in and 50% who you keep out.
Oh, that's an interesting statement.
Yeah, well, think about how much worse your life gets. Like, we've all had nightmare customers, right?
No, not me. I love all my customers.
But when you stop and think about it, man, those you could have one nightmare of a customer and 9 great ones, and that one nightmare of a customer gives you all the stress, gives you all the anxiety, takes up all your time, and you'd be so much better off if you just got rid of them. Right? But no business owner is comfortable doing that because they don't have a marketing system in place, so they're afraid to get rid of them because they don't know who's going to – because it's hard to say no to a check. Right? And so that's where building a marketing machine actually gives you the confidence to turn down the bad customers. Or not that there's anything wrong with them. They might just not be – they might not be the right fit for you. Right? And so when you have a marketing machine that brings you a steady flow of prospects, all of a sudden you have the confidence to say, I'm not going to work with this guy. I'm not going to work with this woman. woman because they're not the right fit.
So the question of who also means who not.
Equally important. Yeah.
So the next thing is messaging. Man, that's about content. Danny, it's something I'm learning over the years, right? Now, for a guy that is probably the worst writer on the planet, right? It's up in my head, but it ain't coming out on paper any well shape, right? Isaiah, you don't need to laugh about that, by the way. Okay. How do you help them get that message? Because I've learned it is very important. I mean, how you say something really makes a difference in this day and age.
Yeah. And listen, it starts with understanding your customers' pain points, right? And so I work with a lot of attorneys. And so divorce attorneys are a classic example, right? Where if somebody is considering a divorce attorney, it's because they're seriously considering divorce, right? And so they're having all these anxieties. What's going to happen with my kids? What's going to happen with my house? What's going to happen with my finances? What's going to happen with my pets? All these anxieties, right? And meanwhile, your average divorce attorney who hasn't studied this stuff, the way they're marketing themselves is they're saying, I went to this great law school. I won all these awards. It's all about them, right? And what they need to be doing is they need to be focusing their messaging on the anxieties that their customers, their prospects are actually having, right? And so, listen, whether it's written content, whether it's video content, whatever the content medium is, I don't really care. Like, to each their own. Some people, you're great on camera, Joe. So why would you write when you're as good as you are on camera?
What Danny really said was, I'm handsome. That's
what I heard. That's what I heard.
And so what really matters, though, is that you're speaking to the pain points. And it's not, messaging should not be about how great you are and your experience and the awards you've won and all of that. It's about, listen, to your customers, I understand the anxiety you're going through. Like, I know what this is doing to you. I've been there. I want to help you, and I'm gonna guide you through this. I'm gonna hold your hand. And I'm gonna walk you through this.
And so we've only got a minute or two left, buddy. Let's go to the third one, which is media. Oh, my gosh. There are more options now that, when I started years ago, I had a bunch of restaurants inside office buildings. Danny, it was real simple, buddy. I used to tell people, because I consider myself a master at marketing, right? I'd tell people, I'm going to make a flyer. And the best way to make a flyer is, what would you want to tell that person if they were standing in front of you? Danny, one of my best flyers ever was, where you going to go when you want a sloppy Joe? Joe's Place. What you laughing at, Reese? That baby was a home run.
I bet it was.
And that where you going to go when you want a sloppy Joe was a flyer that I printed up on a piece of paper at 2 a.m, right? And then slid it under the door of all of the offices, right? And all I had to do was tell them, right? Now, I use that because my media was a piece of paper in the door, right? Nowadays, there are hundreds of ways to send that flyer out. How do I decide which way is best?
Yeah, well, there are so many good options out there. One of the sort of blessings of all this technology, Joe, is that it's easier to track results than it ever was before. And so, I gravitate towards tools like Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads and Google ads, where you can really, number one, get really precise on your targeting. Like, who do you want? Like, wouldn't it be great, Joe, if instead of having to go put flyers under every single door, you knew that, well, these 20 doors, they're vegan, so they're not going to buy my sloppy Joe. Right. And these ones are kind of elitist snobs. They're not going to eat a sloppy Joe, but like these people are my and wouldn't it be great? Two. And wouldn't it be great if those were the only doors you had to
right.
And so
could have saved me many flyers and time.
And that's what's great about a lot of the digital channels today is you get to do that. You can make those decisions, and so you can really be a lot more cost effective, and you can track your results a lot more clearly because you can define exactly who you want to put your messaging in front of.
Danny, as always, you and I could spend all hour on. We didn't let Reese talk at all on this conversation.
I'm just happy to be here. No, the thing that's incredible about both of you really is that first off, you never said anything that I didn't fully agree with.
Right.
But the second thing, and what little I do know about Danny from our dealings with one another and knowing each other through the grapevine, Danny's a master of messaging. And so one of the things that I just happen to know about him, because we have mutual connections, is the power and importance of language.
Right. And Danny is a master at it.
Yeah.
Danny, thank you, my friend. If they can reach you, buddy, real quick, how can I get you?
Yeah, go to automaticmarketingmachine.com.
Great. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
if
Joe.
it's Friday morning, your business matters. We'll see you next week.